Have you ever done everything right, and she still walked away? You texted her every day, checked in, listened to her talk about work, and remembered even the small details. You were honest about your feelings. No hiding, no mixed signals. You were always there when she needed you, willing to rearrange your plans just to see her a little longer. And then one day, she said she only saw you as a friend, or worse. She slowly went silent and disappeared. That leaves you confused. You start wondering what you did wrong, because clearly you tried your best. I understand that feeling, because I used to think the same way. I believed that if I was good enough, sincere enough, attentive enough, things would naturally move forward. But after many observations, many personal experiences and conversations with a lot of other men, I realized something important. Maybe the problem is not that you did not try hard enough, but that you gave too much certainty too early. I once spoke to a man, let's call him Jason. He was not lacking anything in life. Stable job, good income, attractive appearance, polite, well-mannered. From the outside, you would think he was exactly the type of man women look for to build something long-term. But there was one pattern that kept exhausting him. Every time he started seeing someone, the first 2 weeks were great. She texted often, was excited to meet, and her eyes clearly showed interest. By the 3rd week, things began to shift. The texts became less frequent, the replies shorter, and then one day she would say she did not feel enough connection, or she would simply disappear without explanation. What did Jason do? He took them to nice restaurants, sent good morning texts consistently, asked about their work and shared his feelings very early on. He always replied as soon as he saw a message, always ready to change plans if she wanted to meet. He thought that was how you show seriousness. He did not play games, was not cold, and did not create distance. He believed women liked clarity and stability. One time, I asked him a very simple question. When was the last time she had to wonder about you? He looked at me as if I had asked something strange. Wonder about me? What do you mean I tell them everything? I am open. I think transparency is good. And that is where the issue began to reveal itself. The problem was not that Jason was bad, not that he lacked value, not that he was not good enough. The problem was that he was too predictable. She knew what time he would text, knew he would reply immediately, knew he would always agree, knew he would always be there. There was no space for her to think, no room for her to wonder. When everything becomes too certain too quickly, emotions do not have space to grow, not because she is shallow or cruel, but because human psychology is often drawn to what is unfinished. And Jason, with all his sincerity, had unintentionally made everything too complete too early. Now let's move to something slightly deeper, but I will explain it in the simplest way possible. Think about the last time you were hooked on a movie or a book. What made you watch the next episode or turn the next page? It was not because you already knew everything that would happen, but because something had not yet been explained. A mystery without an answer, a question still unresolved. Those gaps are what keep your mind returning to it. You think about it while working, while driving, even before going to sleep. As humans, we tend to bond with what we have invested thought into. When you ask yourself questions, make guesses, and imagine possibilities, you begin to pour mental energy into it, and the more energy you invest, the more important it feels to you. Applying this to relationships works the same way. When a woman has to think about you, when she cannot completely predict what you will do, when she does not know every story about you from the very beginning, her mind starts working. She wonders what you are doing at that moment, what you think about her, what you have not yet shared. Each of those moments is an additional investment she makes in you, whether she realizes it or not. On the other hand, if everything is clear immediately, if you reveal every thought, every plan, every feeling within the first few dates, then there is not much left for her to think about. When there are no questions, there is little reason for her mind to return to you. I emphasize this so you understand it correctly. This is not a psychological game, not a tactic to control someone. It is simply how the human mind works. We value more what we have invested effort into, even if that effort is just mental energy. And in relationships, emotional investment usually comes before real attachment forms. So what should you actually do? I want to talk to you about a very simple concept: rhythm. Bonding does not come from always being right next to each other, but from the balance between closeness and distance. When you are with her, truly be there. That means putting your phone down, looking into her eyes when she speaks, and listening to her story without rushing to interrupt. You ask because you genuinely want to understand, not because you're waiting for your turn to talk. Full presence creates a powerful sense of connection. In that moment, she feels noticed, respected, valued. But when the date ends, when each of you returns to your own life, the rhythm must change. You do not need to text constantly to maintain emotion. You go back to your work, your training, your friends, your own plans. You have your own goals, things that occupy your mind beyond this relationship. You do not sit staring at your phone waiting for a message, not counting how long it has been since she replied. If she texts, you respond warmly when you have time. If she does not, you continue living your life. That is rhythm. Close means depth. Distance means stability. Fully present when together. Free when apart, not cold, not clingy. I often compare this to two images. One is fireworks, bright, loud, explosive, but after a few minutes, they fade, leaving emptiness behind. The other is a fire built slowly. At first it is not dramatic, but tended consistently and kept at the right distance. It burns long and warm enough to last. Many relationships begin like fireworks, texting all day, calling all night, emotions constantly high. But because there is no pause, no personal space, both people quickly feel drained. In contrast, when you maintain this natural rhythm, each reunion brings something new to share, new energy to exchange. She has time to miss you a little, to wonder what you're doing, and it is those quiet spaces that give emotion room to grow. There is a moment when many men only understand after they have been exhausted enough. A man once told me this: the first time I did not check my phone after a date, did not wonder whether she'd gotten home, did not wait for her message, and instead focused on my own work. She was the one who texted first. She said she'd been wondering what I was doing. That was when I realized, for the first time, I was not chasing her emotions. I was living my own life. That shift did not come from pretending to be cold. It came from no longer taking your value from her responses. Before, if she replied quickly, you felt happy. If she replied slowly, you felt anxious. If she used fewer emojis, you started overanalyzing. Your emotional state depended on each line of text. But when you focus on yourself, on your work, on training, on long-term goals, you stop placing your center on her reactions. At that point, the psychological balance begins to change. You are no longer the one constantly waiting. You no longer put her in the position of deciding your worth. And interestingly, when you give her less space in your head, she begins to give you more space in hers. This is not a power game. It is not about winning or losing. It is about inner self-control. Women do not want to become your entire world. That may sound romantic, but in reality, it creates immense pressure. They do not want to feel that if they leave, you will collapse. They want to step into a world that already exists, a life that has direction and its own value. When you have that world and invite her into it, connection becomes a choice, not a burden. In the end, I want you to remember something simple. Real connection does not come from clinging. It does not come from being available 24 hours a day, nor from sacrificing all your time and energy just to keep someone from leaving. Those things may create temporary closeness, but they rarely create lasting respect. Sustainable connection comes from independence, having clear boundaries, knowing what you want and what you do not want, having a life with purpose, direction, and something that makes you wake up each morning with your own motivation. When you stand firmly in your own world, you do not need someone else to feel complete, and that sense of completeness is exactly what makes others feel safe being with you. You do not need to make her need you. Need creates pressure. Choice creates value. Do not try to make her need you. Become someone she wants to choose. I am not saying this so you become a different person. I simply want you to understand that when you respect your own time and your own life, others will learn to respect you too. If you have gone through that shift, or if you are in the process of learning to live this way, I would genuinely like to hear your story. What changed when you started placing yourself in the right position within your own life?